When life breaks you, the Stoic response, you are not being destroyed. You are being dismantled. There is a difference. Destruction leaves nothing. Dismantling makes room for something better. Something broke. Maybe recently. Maybe a long time ago. Maybe right now. And the worst part is not the breaking. The worst part is the silence after it. When you're sitting in the pieces of something you built, or something you loved, or something you thought was permanent, and you don't know how to begin again. Life breaks people. Not the weak ones. Not the people who weren't trying hard enough. Life breaks the ones who were fully in it. The ones who showed up completely, who loved deeply, who built carefully, who worked relentlessly, and then watched it fall apart anyway. If that is where you are right now, I need you to hear something. Not motivation, not a list of steps to feeling better. Something older, something that has survived every empire, every war, every personal catastrophe in human history. The Stoic response to breaking. Not the Instagram version. Not the everything happens for a reason version. The real one. The one that Marcus Aurelius used when his children died. The one that Epictetus used when his leg was broken by the man who owned him. The one that Seneca used when he was told to end his own life. The response that does not pretend the breaking did not happen, but refuses to let it be the final word first. Let's name what breaking actually is, because most people misunderstand it, and that misunderstanding makes recovery almost impossible. What breaking feels like. The end, proof of failure, evidence that you made wrong choices, a sign that you are not enough, that you never were, that the life you wanted is no longer possible. What breaking actually is. The removal of what was not working, the forced clearing of what was not yours, the painful but necessary dismantling that makes the next thing possible, not destruction, renovation. What the world says. Stay strong, it gets better. Everything happens for a reason. Words that sound kind but leave the broken person more alone because they don't acknowledge how real the pain is. What the Stoics said. Feel it, name it, then decide what you will do with it. Not suppression, not toxic positivity. Honest acknowledgement followed by deliberate choice. The hardest and most powerful response. You are not being destroyed. You are being dismantled. There is a difference. Destruction leaves nothing. Dismantling, even violent, painful, unwanted dismantling, makes room. And what gets built in that room is always stronger than what stood before. Because this time you know what not to build. The Stoics did not teach that pain was an illusion. They taught that pain was real, and that you were more powerful than it. Marcus Aurelius lost at least 5 of his children during his reign. He buried them and returned to governing an empire. He did not pretend the grief was not real, his private journal shows. A man in genuine pain. But he applied what he had practiced for decades. Feel it fully, then return to duty. Not because duty mattered more than grief. Because the living still needed their emperor. And he was still alive. Loss is nothing else but change. And change is nature's delight. Epictetus had his leg broken by his master. He was exiled from Rome. He lost everything that the world calls valuable freedom, property, status, physical wholeness. And he built the most celebrated school of philosophy in the Roman world. Not despite the breaking, using it. The breaking became the curriculum. Everything he taught came from what he survived. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Seneca was exiled to a barren island for 8 years. He lost his career, his influence, his place in the world he had built. He wrote philosophy alone on Corsica. When he was finally recalled to Rome, the writing he had done in exile became the foundation of everything he would teach for the rest of his life. The breaking made him. He just had to survive it long enough to find out the mind that is free from passion is a citadel. A person has no stronger fortress. 3 different men, 3 different kinds of breaking. One shared understanding that the breaking was not the end of their story. It was the most important chapter of it, and that what they built in the aftermath was only possible because the previous structure had come down. Here are the 3 Stoic responses to breaking. Not steps to feeling better, responses, because the Stoics did not promise that you would feel better quickly. They promised that you would become stronger permanently. Feel it fully, then name it. The Stoic response to pain is not suppression. Marcus wept for his children. Seneca wrote entire essays about grief. Epictetus spoke openly about the suffering of slavery. The Stoics did not pretend pain was not real. They felt it completely and then they named it. They wrote it down. They said out loud what it was. Because named pain loses some of its power. Unnamed pain owns you. Tonight, write down exactly what broke. Not what you think you should feel about it. What you actually feel. All of it. Let it be ugly and honest and complete. That is not weakness. That is the first Stoic practice. You cannot respond to what you have not acknowledged. Never. Let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to. With the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Do. Separate what you control from what you don't. This is Epictetus's fundamental teaching, and it is the most practically powerful thing you can do in the middle of a breaking. Take a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On the left, everything about this situation that is outside your control. On the right, everything that is still yours. Your response, your next decision, your values, your effort from this moment forward. The left side will be longer. That is okay. That is honest. But the right side, however small it looks, is where your entire future lives. Epictetus lost everything that belongs on the left side. He built everything that mattered from the right side. So can you. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Return to the present. Start the next act. Seneca wrote, confine yourself to the present. Not because the past does not matter, because you cannot build anything in the past. Everything you will ever build, every recovery, every new beginning, every rebuilt life will be built in the present moment. This one, and then the next one, and then the one after that. You do not need to see the whole staircase. You do not need to know how the story ends. You need to take one step from where you are standing right now. One small, deliberate, present tense step. That is the Stoic response to breaking. Not a plan, not a vision. One step, then another, until one day, you look back and see that the breaking was the beginning of the most important journey you ever took. Confine yourself to the present. You are going to be okay. Not because the pain is not real, not because what broke did not matter, not because the loss was not genuine, but because you are still here, still breathing, still reading this, still, despite everything, looking for a way forward. That is not weakness surviving. That is strength choosing. Every single time you look for the way forward instead of staying in the wreckage, that is a Stoic response. That is the inner citadel holding. That is you, proving to yourself what you are made of. Marcus buried his children and governed an empire. Epictetus built a school from a broken leg and an empty hand. Seneca wrote his greatest philosophy in exile on a barren island. They were not extraordinary people. They were ordinary people who had learned one extraordinary thing, that the breaking was not the end, that what came after it, if they chose to build, would be more real, more solid, more theirs than anything that came before. The breaking is not the end of your story. It is the end of the first draft. If this found you at the right moment, share it with someone who needs it tonight. Subscribe for one video a week, real philosophy for real life. And drop a comment, what broke you? And what are you building from it? I read every single one, because your story matters. Even now, especially now. See you in the next one.